No pain, no pain. Something in your eyes just told me that this night never will end.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel Gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we're living. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
And move your body. When the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up. Baby.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor, get on up, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode, another edition of Gavin Richard Presents Random Topic Sundays here on channel Gboot2786, also on our YouTube channel, other YouTube channel, self-entitled Gavin Richard, and our Facebook page. We also have our Periscope page at Gavin Rich2786. Good afternoon to you all, whoever you are, wherever you are. Hope you are blessed and doing safe. I want to first off thank Queen Amadaya Shakur. I was just on her show about 30 minutes ago, and we just wrapped up. I wanted to go ahead and jump here with everyone to talk about our topics that's going on. First and foremost, how's everyone doing tonight? I see a lot of people in the chat. Shout out to Derek Bailey, Lamiko, Tylene, One Who Cares, people that are watching on our Facebook page, people that are watching on the Gavin Richard page. Shout out to you all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get this started. But of course, first, I want you all, if you have not, I need you to hit that like, share, and subscribe button right now. Hit that like button, hit that share, and subscribe to broadcast this live stream. I'd also ask if you would please donate to our Cash App and PayPal as well. The links are at the bottom if you would like to support our channel. We have multiple ways in which you can support us. I've already talked about our Patreon as well as our advertisement opportunities that I have been trying to do and execute recently. I haven't gotten much assistance, but are people who want to do that, but I still do it. Let's go ahead and also tell you about our Nonny's Creole Seasoning Blend. Please go there, order you some Creole Seasoning Blend in time for the Memorial Day holiday. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonny's goes great with every dish. I've shared the website right here for you all. If you're interested in purchasing some Nonny's Creole seasoning, you can go ahead, go to shop where you see here, continue shop. You can click on that and just add to cart, and you can get you some Creole seasoning blend, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested. Also go to our Facebook page at Commonwealth Cause, to get the latest updates on our book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. That's actually coming out this summer. I've made an announcement. I'm going to have it available for pre-order very shortly. One other correction, well, not a correction, but addendum that I have to it, that then we'll put it up available for everyone to purchase. You can pre-order it, guys. So I ask you all to please go to the Facebook page. I'm also going to be creating an Instagram page tonight for you all, but here's the page you can go to and check it out. Subscribe to it. I know there's some people who don't like to use Facebook, but that's where we have it. So I'm going to create a IG page for it, so that way people can subscribe to it and get some updates. But peace and blessings to you all. Um, we're gonna go ahead, since we're talking about Cosby. I guess I'll start there. Uh, I'm posting that article. Um, as most of you probably saw me on Queen Amadai Shakur, we talked about this, but on June 1st, the first of a civil trial against Bill Cosby is said to begin in a lawsuit that was filed by a woman named Judy Huth by her attorney, Gloria Allred, rather. So proceedings, I believe, opening arguments are supposed to start on June 1st, which would be at the end of next week. However, of course, there's jury selections and stuff that are going to go on, those proceedings that are going to happen. So what happened, of course, recently, Bill Cosby's attorneys tried to file a motion to dismiss this lawsuit due to the fact that the complainant, Judy Huff, had changed her story. According to court records, Judy Huff had changed her story from 19. She allegedly said that Bill Cosby sexually assaulted her when she was 15 years old at the Playboy Mansion in 1974. However, she recently concluded in court papers that was filed that it was actually in 1975 when she was 16. She says since the beginning, she has said in court papers that she recalled Mr. Cosby telling her and her friend to claim that they were both 19 if asked at the mansion. The change of dates has led Mr. Cosby's team to further dispute her account. Andrew Wyatt, a spokesman for Mr. Cosby, said in a statement that Ms. Huth's aunt made, quote, inconsistent statements since the inception of filing the civil suit against Mr. Cosby. Ms. Huth has said that recently released information supplied by Mr. Cosby's team had led her to reconsider what year it occurred. The civil case, which is one of the last unsettled lawsuits against Cosby, was put on hold due to Bill Cosby's criminal conviction that happened in 2018 as prosecutors were trying to convict him, which they did. However, that conviction was released upon appeal by the Superior Court of Pennsylvania, who found that his due process rights were violated when the prosecutors, and the judge for that matter, I would add, ignored a deal with the prior DA, Bruce Castor. With the criminal case overturned, the significance of Ms. Hutt's suit has risen in the minds of some of the many women who have accused Mr. Cosby of being a sexual predator. So you have here Victoria Valencia, who says Bill Cosby drugged and raped her in Los Angeles in 1969. Cosby, of course, denied these allegations of sexual assault and said any sexual encounters were consensual. I think Judy's trial may be our last stand for justice and seeing accountability come to fruition in our stand against Bill Cosby. She said she had plans to attend part of the trial, which, barring a last-minute settlement, is set to begin with jury selection this week and opening arguments expected on June 1st. Ladies and gentlemen, okay. What you have here, especially when you see women, these washed-up hoes, I'm not going to hold my tongue. When you have these washed-up heifers come out with these lawyers talking about sexual assault, sexual abuse, with no evidence, no police report. She even mentions it here that she tried to talk to the police to open up the case. However, the Los Angeles County's DA's office declined to file criminal charges because the statute of limitations had passed. She filed her lawsuit in 2014 because by law in California, what has happened is that California passed a new law which stated that while you generally have a year from when a wrongful act occurred and that has expired, if you are the victim of a sexual abuse claim as a minor and you repress the experience, which I don't see how any minor, especially me, especially from those I know who have been victims of sexual abuse as children. While I don't think they repress it, they just hide and don't talk about it to the public. But nevertheless, they've changed the law where they have allowed minors to come back and say this happened to them. And the deadline to file the suit is determined in part by when the person as an adult becomes aware of the severe psychological effect of abuse, her lawyer said. Now, let me say this, and in 2020, California law was amended to further extend the statute of limitations for filing sexual assault filings in civil court. Now, Cosby's attorneys felt that they were ambushed by the sudden change in Ms. Hutt's account. They said that their research had been geared towards establishing Mr. Cosby and Ms. Hutt's whereabouts in 1974, and they had prepared evidence to show the entertainer was not in the Playboy Mansion, not at the Playboy Mansion in the periods he suggested in 1974. Log books from the Playboy Mansion for 1974 do not list either Ms. Hutt's or her friend as having visited, according to Cosby's lawyers. Now, you see, guys, why it is very important, especially when you pay attention to these dates. Why, as a criminal defense lawyer, when you change laws and you make as a defense attorney, as a civil attorney, even, how important it is to know your dates and places, because if you have something that proves you where you weren't even there, an alibi, then it will work. But here's the problem with this. We're talking about something in the 70s. There is no time machine that I know of where anybody can go back in time and actually look at and visit the Playboy Mansion to see if Bill Cosby sneaks in 1974. And she changes her timeline supposedly because some information that made her reconsider. Was it that it made Miss Hutt reconsider when the abuse actually occurred, or she wanted this to make her story, she wanted her story to stick so that way she would not be in, she could have a case that still stood? Who holds Gloria Allred accountable for her lies and her extortion attempts that she's made against multiple black men? I mean, my goodness, there's been Michael Jackson. She tried to get CPS to get his children kicked out of his house so that they can live in the system. She's gone after Tiger Woods when Tiger Woods was the victim of a domestic disturbance. She went after Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was falsely accused of rape out in Nevada. And when Tom Mesereau was even on that case to represent Mike Tyson, Gloria Allred quickly backed off. She also came at Tigger the rapper. Her daughter represented your boy, Harvey Weinstein, right? And remember, there was kickback from the public because, wait a minute, you are the daughter of Gloria Allred. You, Lisa Bloom, are Gloria Allred's daughter, and you're representing a man accused of sexual assault. What happened to the accountability against men and their acts against women? He can't be charged, Quat Man, because it's outside the statute of limitations criminally. They can't retroactively go back and get him on a criminal charge. However, because of this law in California, it allows victims to come forward whenever, as long as they've repressed it. And the problem is, well, the problem is this: how do you explain and defend? Where can you be? Remember, there's a difference, as I was telling Queen Amadaya today, there's a difference in the burden of proof in terms of a criminal proceeding and a civil proceeding, that you can show a person is guilty of something. There's a difference between showing someone guilty and versus showing them they're liable. When you're guilty, that's in a criminal proceeding. When you're liable, that's civil. So she was one of those people, obviously, that helped to push that. Certainly because of Bill Cosby, I can tell you, and even the newspaper articles don't hide it. The news articles even reported how these laws, not just in California, but in Nevada, I can tell you that for sure, they changed the statute of limitations. Gloria Allred, I believe, was I think she represents Lisa Loveland, that black model who always comes on with her husband. She was in that documentary, and they talked about how they got the law changed in Nevada. They've got to change to New Jersey and a couple other states. So that's exactly the point. Can I defend Bill Cosby effectively? Because if you said in 1974, Bill Cosby is not even at the Playboy Mansion, but then in 75, well, I want to push it to 1975. If they find that Bill Cosby's in the Playboy Mansion now, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. You got to watch them when they give these dates, because remember, even Chloe Goings said Bill Cosby assaulted her at the Playboy Mansion and in 2008. And there was an entire log by the Playboy Mansion, and it was reported even on TMZ. Bill Cosby was nowhere near the Playboy Mansion at that time. He had to have surgery then. You got to watch these old hoes. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not holding my tongue. These dusty, crusty hoes who use the casting couch or try to use it to get browning points, to get money, to get some man who can advance their career. They use it just like the men used it. When it goes south, they want to cry foul. They have no evidence, no rape kit, no DNA, no police report, no toxicology report to show what was in their system or not. If they have any witnesses, they wait 40 years. Who's telling whether the witnesses can actually and fairly account what occurred? And bear in mind, a lot of these lawsuits that were settled were not settled by Bill Cosby. They were settled by Bill Cosby's insurance company, who decided they just wanted to settle and get it over with. And Bill Cosby objected to it. Just like Michael Jackson objected and Johnny Cochran objected to that settlement back in 93. What actually happened was the insurance company settled the case for Michael, just like they did with Bill. When Janice Dickinson won a lawsuit, it was Bill Cosby's insurance company, I believe AIG, that settled it. And Bill Cosby was against it. Michael Jackson was against it. He said, but here's the thing, when an insurance company settles a case, that decision is not made, but doesn't get made by the client, the insurer. The insurer, which would be, for instance, AIG, gets to make that decision. So it is not the same as an attorney-client, where an attorney can't settle a case without the client's okay. He has to get approval from the client first, and the client will either accept it or deny it. And the attorney, being a fiduciary to that client, would have to, in good conscience, decline that offer. This is a civil suit, Quat Man. It is not a criminal proceeding, but it's a civil suit to get money. And let's not forget, Gloria Allred told Bill Cosby, if you give these women $100 million and put it in a trust fund, I'll make all of this go away. Oh, she said it. She said it. Gloria Allred wanted a trust. She said it. And this heifer saying Bill Cosby humped her feet. Cosby should have $100 million ready for the victims. Oh, and I go deep in this, guys. You got to read the book. Ready for the victims. Oh, and I go deep in this, guy. You got to check out the book. What's up, Rashana Morrison? You got to check out the book. You got to subscribe to the Facebook page to get more details, because we go in depth in this. $100 million. We challenge Mr. Cosby to end this nightmare. We look forward to his response. Now, this is in 2014. Look at the date. December 3rd, 2014. She asked Cosby to set aside the money or agree to waive the statute of limitations as a legal defense, which would allow the women to pursue lawsuits against him. And notice these women even talk about affairs. One lady saying, I believe Mr. Cosby drugged me to assault me. I believed. Do you know for a fact? Beth Ferrier had an affair with Bill Cosby in the 80s. She ended the affair and later met up with him at Denver, where he gave her a cappuccino, where she said she was unconscious and woke up in her car with her clothes a mess and bra undone. How do you get you to the car? This is the foolishness. I would think they could, Quat man. But this is the foolishness I'm talking about. And that's why you need to go to this Facebook page. I'm going to make it available for pre-order. I keep saying it, but it's going to be available real soon, guys. You need to subscribe to the Facebook page. But I got to move on to the next topic. But this is foolishness. Imagine being in your 80s, have to answer for something that happened when you were 40-something or 30-something. You have something called the statute of limitations, and she's the only one that can literally bring a lawsuit because she's alleging she's a minor. And I repressed it. Bullshit. In 1974, Bill Cosby is still a black man. He had money. Still has money. You know how effectively they would have destroyed his career, any accusation coming up? Meanwhile, he's being surveilled by the FBI. Did y'all know that? Sick of this nonsense. And more nonsense, let's talk about Professor Clump. Oh, I'm not through with her ass by a long shot. You see, I love black men. I love my brothers. And I have black nephews. I have a black brother. I have a black father. I do not like stuff like this. She clearly has an issue with black men. There's something that's happened in her. There clearly has been an event that had to have triggered her like this. Now, just look at her Facebook, her Twitter page. Now, let's talk about Queen Ursula. Now, you look at it, she's got black. Now, this is what Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur talking about. This is her book, A Guide to Crushing Girlhood, Feminist as F. No men in there, no men present. I'm looking at the bullshit she's tweeting. Now, even she tweets this. I was wondering about this and came across this op-ed from 2018. We might not be able to stop people from buying guns, but can we regulate and track the hell out of the ammo? The Constitution does not give the right to ammo. Just a thought. Oh, are you stupid? You see how stupid this is? You're a moron. But let's move on. Now, she started talking about this morning about some quote unquote hate mail and social media comments from a couple of presumably black men, mad that I had flippantly compared some of their online behavior to the behavior I see from radicalized white supremacists. Immediately upon seeing it, I asked the same question I asked when I see the hate mail from the white boys. Oh, there must be something circulating about me online. Wonder what and where it is. In any case, I located it. A washed up used to be professor is mad at my comments. Okay, first and foremost, Miss Cooper, I doubt that you are trending. I doubt anybody gives a damn about you, which is why you are ranting the way that you are. You're upset the way that you are because nobody cares. I love the black men that I love. I love my dad, my uncles, my cousins who I like brothers, my homeboys, my partner of 7 years. This ain't about hating y'all. It's always been about how you hate us and won't admit it. No, you hate us. And it's a type of black man. I can tell right now, any woman, any person that talks like this, if you got men in your life, the men have to be, I'm willing to bet, are betas. What are you saying when you make comments about black men in general by comparing them to a white supremacist? What are you saying about your father? What are you saying about your brothers, your cousins, your uncles? You're telling me that all the male members in your family support what you say? And it's not the first time, Brittany, you've made comments like this. When you talked about how women should withhold sex if Donald Trump wins the election again, if they don't vote for Joe Biden. Didn't you say that? You're tweeting to fucking Moist Lamont Hill about what's going on, comparing it to, you're talking about Kevin Samuels. You say here, so while I was not attempting to compare black men to Peyton Gendron, when I made a flippant response to a friend's post on here, I absolutely mean what I say about the internet radicalization of black men. Y'all not become mass shooters, but you're still a possible threat. What sense does that make? Okay, think about that for a second. You're saying we're not mass shooters, but we're still a threat. So you're trying to say that I'm still a threat to you if I support and if I come across too strong as a man. Radicalization of what? What black men you know are going shooting up schools, going into a grocery store shooting up everybody? Because when do black men ever kill? I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Of course, black men kill. Let's just talk about it. Black people kill black people, because I had this conversation on Judge Joe Brown's show. Black people who kill black people go to jail. Let's get it right. Black men who kill black men go to jail. White men who kill white men go to, Asian men kill Asians. Hispanics kill Hispanics. And it's done because it's about where you live. That is the definition of crime. It typically occurs where you live at, because in desperate situations, when people need money, a brother from New Orleans East is not going to drive all the way uptown, for instance, to go rob a Chase Bank. He's going to try and rob the Chase Bank on Reed Boulevard. He's going to rob somebody that's walking into the Walmart on Bullitt Avenue, not the Walmart on Chapatulas. How are we, first off, and how are we all a threat? Exactly, Danielle. How do you define black men being a threat? And on top of that, you then talk about Kevin Samuels. To the butthurt Kevin Samuels fans in my mentions, I said y'all had been radicalized, and you have. Your being black men in America doesn't make you less subject to disinformed, misogynist grievance politics. If you don't want to be compared to white male supremacists, don't act. Do you see what the fuck she's okay? She's comparing a chicken McNugget to a Big Mac. We know that's her favorite meal. We know that's her top two. Literally comparing a chicken McNugget to a Big Mac. She's hungry, guys. Watch out. If you don't want to be compared to white male supremacists. Now, when we talk about now she says white male supremacists. See, white supremacists don't have to be men. White supremacists, of course, we know, are females. And even children, although you could say they're white supremacists in training or racist in training. That is what the African American community deals with, the black community in this country. Now, you want to have a conversation about misogyny, about sexism. If you want to fight for other people, fight for other people. But you, ma'am, are generalizing and have generalized the black males in this country as terrorists. Your remarks are extremely dangerous. I'm not going to let it slide. Because you're talking about my father, you're talking about me, you're talking about my grandfathers, you're talking about my future sons, my nephews, my best friend, my brother. You're spewing hatred. And you're talking about a dead man in Kevin Samuels. I saw she was tweeting Moist Lamont Shill because there was someone had a tattoo of Moist Lamont of Kevin Samuels. Now, if we want to debate if they're going too far with the Kevin Samuels things on their legs, that's something different. I was not a fan of Kevin Samuels, and I've said that from the beginning. But I also stated I do not like people that are disparaging this man in that particular, gloating at the fact that he passed away. When you had your Vivica A. Fox make the remarks of Kevin Samuels' death being karma. And Corey Holcomb, of course, shout out to brother Corey Holcomb in the 5150 Nation. And he went to he took Vivica Fox to the barbecue, as Sean James would say. You know, your Vivica Fox got flayed and tethered by your comedian, Corey Holcomb. And so we take a critical examination of this Vivica Fox, who is nothing more than a bust down from Bust Downtown. We realize that Kevin Samuels was indeed talking about a old washed out hoe just like her. Now, yeah, I have nephews. I have sons. People like her are dangerous. And I'm not holding my tongue. I'm not going to apologize for this. People get mad at me because I'm calling her names and so forth. She deserves it. She needs to be chastised for this. And what I noticed too, when she stated she wasn't necessarily comparing men to this alleged white supremacist that killed all those people in Buffalo, she did not apologize, at least for clarity, which tells me right there that she is not a humble person. If I make a mistake, I am man enough to admit I was wrong. I am man enough to admit I am sorry. That's what men do. A real man learns from his mistakes and is willing to move on. She will not do this. And you look at these pictures. First off, I don't know what she teaches at Rutgers. She's an associate professor. You know, I was a professor myself. And she's all smiles here. But whenever I've seen her on television, if you've ever seen Professor Klump on YouTube, if you've seen her, you know, I remember when she was on BNC when they were talking about Bill Cosby. She's never smiling. She's always angry looking. I would be too if I ain't got none in a while. This is a woman who wanted to withhold sex. Now, she's from Louisiana. No, she's never smiling in some of these figures. She's angry as hell here. And you know, I used to see women just like this. And so I'm just running this. This happened in October of 21. She was facing backlash when she talked about taking these motherfuckers out, talking about white people. You know, sometimes the left, I find the leftists even go to the extreme, then even more than the right. I'm finding that now, like the roles are reversed. Remember, it was the rednecks you thought that were bad, the white Republicans you hate, but it's the Democrats now who go to the extreme with stuff. You know, this is the same woman who I even see on her Twitter page. She supports abortion. She's a feminist. I'm sure she supports LGBTQ marriage. I'm sure she supports being a Democrat. I can tell she supports anything the Biden administration does. And one could argue that the egregious medical disregard that forced births portend for Black women's health, given very high Black maternal mortality rates, is deliberate. Okay, Black mortality rates, let's talk about that. While they are high among Black women as compared to white women because of adequate health care, tell me exactly how does abortion benefit the mortality rate? How does it benefit Black female pregnancy? Aborting a child? Because remember, even abortion is risky for a mother because if it's botched, then that woman can no longer have a baby. If there's damage to the uterus, you know, there could be infections that can occur. There could anything damaging any part of the body, it could hurt her. I know women who have had abortions that can't regret it from day one, not only killing their child, but because when they now want to procreate, they're unable to. They're no longer, it's not a matter of them not being fertile, but if their uterus is not, if there's damage to any part of their body, their reproductive system, it's difficult, and they can't do it anymore. You're calling Black men violent, essentially. Yeah, it can kill the women. Just look at the pork chop crunk. Pork crunk. I'm going to call that prof crunk. Pork crunk, Tyree. I'm not going to let this slide. And anybody got a problem with it, you know where to find me at. The email is at the bottom. You want to talk about it, we'll talk. I ain't holding nothing back. Because this woman is a flat out disgrace. And apparently, the Black women in my chat don't have a problem with what I said either, because they know she's just as much of a disgrace. She doesn't represent the sisters that are in here. She doesn't represent Danielle. She doesn't represent Rashana. She doesn't represent Black Mama, Quat Man. The ladies don't like her. Queen Amadaya Shakur, she doesn't represent her. Yeah, she's entitled to her opinion, but when your opinion is shitty and it's dangerous, guess what? People are going to clap back. Now let's go to our next topic. Guys, I'm trying to run through this. So this comes out of Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota. They settled a lawsuit with a former Army vet, the police department out in Minneapolis, over excessive force that was caught on camera. Now, for those that don't remember what happened, of course, back in 2020, we had the protests that were going on, the riots going on in Minnesota, in Minneapolis in particular, with the death and murder of George Floyd, I should say. And across the country, all the stuff that was going on, this was being recorded. And what happened is this brother, his name is Jaleel Stallings. He's an Army vet. He was actually out in Minneapolis that day when that stuff was going on. And this happened on May 30th. Now, I'm going to play the video. This is courtesy of CBS Minnesota, WCCO. There was a settlement that was reached for $1.5 million following an incident where the police officers beat him during his 2020 arrest. And of course, I should say unrest.
It's city taxpayers who will foot the bill. A lawsuit claimed Minneapolis police officers used excessive force during the unrest after George Floyd's murder. Officers in an unmarked van fired less lethal rounds at Jaleel Stallings in May of 2020. Stallings fired back. The jury agreed it was in self-defense and acquitted him of any criminal charges. WCCO's Jennifer Merrily looks at the cost of police conduct payouts.
The city of Minneapolis will pay Jaleel Stallings $1.5 million to settle his lawsuit over Minneapolis police conduct. The funds come from taxpayer dollars.
Why does it have to come from the money that we work for?
Some residents we spoke with didn't realize the city is self-insured and their tax dollars cover police conduct payouts.
It's really disappointing to hear for the taxpayers who probably largely don't understand the way the monies are being paid out.
It's a lot of money.
Rachel Moran is an associate professor at the University of St. Thomas Law School.
You have to think about if the money is going to one thing, it's not going to another, instead of going to support our schools or our parks or something else.
WCCO has tracked police payouts. They range from hundreds of dollars to millions, like the $27 million settlement with the family of George Floyd. In March, Minneapolis settled with Soren Stevenson for $2.4 million. He was left blind in one eye after being shot by a less lethal round during a protest.
I just want them to act. I don't want this to happen again. I don't want city funds to be wasted on lawsuits.
To me, $1.5 million says the city recognized that this was a significant event.
Stallings said he also was looking for more than a payout.
I went into the civil case with not hopes for a check as much as I was hoping for justice and accountability.
And compared to similar sized cities, Minneapolis on average pays more in officer conduct payouts. And there are several more pending lawsuits connected to police conduct during the protests and riots of 2020.
Yes. Sounds like there could be more to come, Jen. All right, thank you. Well, Jennifer has dug into police payouts in and outside of Minneapolis before. To see her report and the change that could benefit taxpayers, visit WCCO.com.
Now, I should clarify, I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. I am just an attorney out here in the New Orleans area, Louisiana. And so anything that I say can't be construed as creating an attorney-client relationship, just so you all know when I talk about this. But as I spoke on Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur's show, with settlements, yes, as police officers, like what happened with the brother out in Dallas, Fort Worth, I should say rather, who was slammed to the ground unconscious. Well, as police officers, they are obviously self-insured. The city is self-insured. Taxpayers' money pay these lawsuits because as taxpayers, we fund the police department. Our monies go towards them. We want more police, obviously, or we want our police officers taking care of our tax dollars, take care of them. And out in Minnesota, as you stated, as the guy stated, in Minneapolis, they actually have the largest payouts of police misconduct in the United States. So what I think has to happen and how we curtail shit like this is that these race soldiers, these police officers ought to start getting taxed themselves. If they mess up and do wrong and they're caught doing something illegal, they're caught breaking the law like they did in this case, then they need to be punished. They need to not only be fired, but they need to be stripped, I think, of their pensions. They need to pay their own insurance, obviously fitting the bill for that. When a lawsuit comes, it comes out of their pocket that they have to pay it, as well as these police unions that keep defending these officers, these race soldiers, like they do all the time, even defending what happened with George Floyd, defending what happened with Rayshard Brooks. I mean, they have a history of doing this stuff. They do this all the time. They have a habit of doing that. Now, to get to the situation, what you saw and took place on May 30th was Brother Stallings was out. There was a curfew, I believe, that was in place in Minneapolis. But what happened is that they were in an unmarked vehicle. And being that they were not in a marked vehicle where you can announce that they were police officers, they were randomly shooting bullets at, and I should say rubber bullets, at who they believe were protesters. Now you see the video, I saw the video, the brother was in a parking lot. Now, if there was curfew going on, and I know that they have curfews in place during these riots and so forth, then if they want people to go home, they should have gotten on the intercom telling people that. If Stallings had fired his weapon, and let's say the officer's sirens were blaring, this was a marked white van that said police on it, and he started firing, then he had absolute right, the police had absolute right to arrest him. What they did, and according to the documents that are released in court, they were driving in an unmarked white van. There were no lights. There was no sirens activated. They began shooting non-lethal rounds at a crowd in a parking lot. And it really wasn't a crowd. It was just, from what I saw in the video, only a few individuals. They weren't looting or rioting. They fired them at them. And Stallings fired in self-defense. And it was noted that he had a concealed weapons carry permit. Now, just think if they didn't have body camera footage. Just think if there wasn't a surveillance camera that you saw pointing down in the parking lot. Think of what would have happened. This brother would probably still be in jail. He did surrender when he realized that these were police officers. He put his gun down. They arrested him. However, they kicked and punched him while he was on the ground. The attorney for Jaleel Stallings stated in a civil suit that was filed, he's seeking accountability for the officers who violated policies and laws and constitutional rights with impunity during the protests that followed George Floyd's murder. Stallings now lives in Texas. He does not live in Minnesota because he feared retribution. He says, quote, "The memories it brings up, I try to avoid thinking about it as much as I can, but it doesn't necessarily go that way. To me, 1.5 million says the city recognized this was a significant event. However, I went into the civil case with not hopes for a check as much as I was hoping for justice and accountability. I don't feel I received that at all," Stallings said. "I am both satisfied and disappointed." Minneapolis city attorney, the deputy city attorney, says the city hopes that an early resolution to this matter will allow the parties to move forward. Now, $1.2 million isn't a bad amount of money, of course. And George Floyd's family was paid $27 million. One man who was shot in the eye with a rubber bullet, he settled for $2.4 million. So he lost his eye as a result of this. Well, I'm sure they did, because remember, it went to trial, Darius. It went to trial, but they didn't find, obviously, in favor of the police department, rightfully so, because they instigated the entire matter. They and I'm sure they pulled out, "I fear for my life," but we saw the body camera footage says otherwise. And the fact that the prosecutor even wanted to move forward shows the mindset of these prosecutors that we have, these AGs that we have. Of course, they want to stand with the cops and the police because that's the arm that does their investigation for them. However, they don't want to make these people accountable, which they should have. And this brother, I'm glad he fought it. I'm glad he won. He did right to get out of Minnesota. Start your life somewhere else. Take your $1 million. I know it may not sound like nothing, but use it to invest in something, bro. Build a business with it. But certainly, I think I would have wished they would have given him more money, probably like 5. But yeah, if he didn't have any injuries, I could see why it was that amount. All right. So last thing I want to talk about, y'all. I'm trying to keep this under an hour. As you all know, I talk about this often about ScrewTube and how they censor people. It's censorship, and this impact it has on our B1 family, New Black Media. On Thursday, of course, you know, is my busiest night. Obviously, our highest rated episode uh, of the week is always on Thursdays when we see a peak in our viewership. It's when I have Brother Sean James come on our channel. And my channel on Thursday night, after our live stream ended, Thursday night, Friday morning, I got a notification that our channel was going to be, my video, my live stream was set to private. And apparently, what YouTube said as its motivation for doing this is because they believe that the video violated its scams and policies policy order. Now, you all know that I do not have, of course, any deceptive. I don't have anybody advertise on this channel. I volunteer. They took it because they believed it violated spam, deceptive practices, and scams policies. I don't run a scam. And yet, they don't tell me exactly what was the scam, what was the deceptive practice, what was the spam that was in the content. I have moderators here who monitor everything. I'm showing you the email that I got. This is my email. They said, we have reviewed your content and we think you may need to make changes to make sure it doesn't violate our spam, deceptive practices, and scams policies. We haven't applied a strike to your channel, and if you make changes or you think we made a mistake, you can request to make your content public again. However, there may be some instances where YouTube keeps your content private. Well, here's the problem. I can't, for whatever reason, reach out to you all. There is no way I can appeal it, like when I get my copyright strikes for playing Gotta Get On Up. And apparently, this has happened. I'm not alone in this because I heard this happen to Professor Black Truth with his video, according to Queen Shakur. I actually spoke with Judge Joe Brown earlier this week, and the show he did with Dana on Thursday, that was set to private. So I have no knowledge. Suing them, what I'm going to sue them for. You see, you can file a lawsuit, but the question is, what are your damages? They're a private company, however, there are antitrust laws that they have to follow. And they have done this with countless other people. I know Nicole, Drew, I believe Lisa Cabrera and others have had their issues with YouTube. They're suing them, but essentially they have targeted New Black Media. They have targeted this family. They have targeted the B1 family. And honestly, guys, I'm just talking real with you all. It's difficult for me to come on every week, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, 3 days out of the week, because I have a very busy schedule, and do a live stream with you all, and I'm not getting paid from it. I'm not making money. I'm not selling any of the products that I put on here. And I am debating, and I've been thinking about this, that I may cancel. I'm thinking seriously of canceling random topics from now on here on YouTube. It's just too much. I'm busy trying to do other stuff and promote it, and I have never seen anything like I haven't seen anything like this in the times that I've been on YouTube. And I know that YouTube at one point was a place where you could put silly videos up, but now you can put content about anything, talk about anything. You can become a virtual Hollywood star by being on YouTube. Look what happened to that fool King Box that does Divine. He's doing movies now. He's doing television. He's on Netflix. Not that I'm a fan of his. But before I move my content, if I do it, I'm going to make sure I kick YouTube in the balls. But I want everybody here with me that's watching who come to this show, and I thank you for your support. But I want you all, especially a group of us, we need to make our voices heard at YouTube, at Google, telling them enough is enough. You know, I'm not making enough money from this. And I come out here really because I love you all. I like discussing the topics. I am on Patreon, Tyree, and I'm gonna start. I have put some content on Patreon, but I only have one Patreon supporter. Because, the goal is to get away from YouTube, not to stay on YouTube, as TD Hip Hop would say. But I'm really frustrated, with YouTube and the way that they have acted. I've had this channel monetized, and then within 48 hours, it's demonetized. I don't know what more I can do. Yes, I can sue them. Yes, I can. The problem is they don't like black men who stand up for themselves. I've heard there's Black Enough, there's Odyssey. Yeah, I would probably look at that. I'm considering it. Strongly considering that, Darius. But you know what I will do, just to fuck around with YouTube? I will put the parts of the video that I did Thursday up. I'm gonna edit them and try and do all of that. All I can do this week. But there is Black Enough. There is. I haven't heard of Rumble. Odyssey is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, all the people they've messed with. There is Vimo. And I knew nothing about Odyssey. So you can watch a bunch of stuff. What's Odyssey like? You can apparently watch a bunch of movies on here too. I'll probably look at that. Hopefully, but here's the thing. Would Odyssey eventually, I'm watching the naked guy. Would Odyssey eventually turn into the next YouTube where they censor the black YouTubers? Maybe I'll look. I'm looking at Black Enough. I know that's Boyce Watkins. I think that's Boyce Watkins' thing. But certainly looking into it. I'll consider any options. But I am on Patreon. Odyssey has buffering issues, but they resolved it. You can model, yeah. I'm gonna look at it, but before I do that, we got to kick YouTube in the nuts because I'm done with them. I'm literally at my breaking point. But I will be back though this week. Hopefully, I might be off the channel. Who knows for ranting about this? But you can support me at the Cash App, at GooglePay, and PayPal at the links at the bottom. If you want to advertise with the channel, of course, you can email me still, and you can join. I'll put the Patreon up where you can go. The channel is Gboot2786. You can log on to the Patreon, support me there. I've uploaded some content you could check out that is not on YouTube, such as my comedy act. My comedy show is on here. You can advertise with me. That's my email. Go to the Facebook page at Commonwealth Cos for updates on the Bill Cosby book. I'll consider all of those guys, Rumble and Odyssey, Black Enough. I'm looking at more options. I might even do Daily Motion. Who knows? Venmo is certainly an option. So we're going to get off. Michi X, doesn't she have beef with Tariq, though? But yeah, we're looking at that. I didn't take calls tonight, guys, but I will Tuesday. I'm about to roll out of here. But anyway, y'all, go to NornisCreoleBlends.com, order you some seasoning. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nornis goes great with every dish. I tell you to subscribe to the channels. You can still, if you're not subscribed. I'm still here. Also, check out Video Soul on Spotify, Amazon, and iTunes. And of course, got to get on up. So let me get out of this chair. I'm looking at all options, guys, but I'll be back. God willing, says the same. All right. I'll holla. Peace, family. Thank you for your suggestions. Love y'all.
Girl,
Screw YouTube.
gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on
Tell the DJ play the whisper. Rock steady in the groove. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove.
Who gave her more?
Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide on two. Hit the bus stop. I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the
Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
And move your body. So when the beat is really grooving, you got to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor.
Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.